Welcome to the March 6, 2024 meeting of the Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission. The commission will review continuances and new applications this evening. We'll also conduct some additional business at the end of the meeting. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking and in order to preserve bandwidth, and may need to turn off video with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. The chair will call on each commissioner for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I'll ask for a motion from the commission to continue to approve with conditions or to reject. A second and conduct a roll call. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. Now, before we begin, and I see Luis is with us tonight. I don't see, there he is. It's been a couple of meetings since you stepped down and come back on again, and are no longer the chair. You pass that over to me. Thank you very much. And I want to congratulate you for all the work you did and praise you as heading us up in a transition period after COVID and through all kinds of activities and changes to our operations that you were stalwart in seeing happen. So we owe you a gratitude of thanks. It's wonderful to have you back again to be with us, to provide your continued wisdom until we find someone to replace you. And frankly, I hope it's not too soon. But anyway, thank you again for all you've done for the commission.
Well, thank you. Are you sure you are talking about me?
Yeah, we're here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let us begin with print this on both sides of the paper, save paper. Now I'm going to find it with our first continued public hearing.
Who's voting, Dennis?
Oh, that's right. Last meeting we didn't have to worry about it. We only had 5 people. Who are the full members? I'm trying to remember. Anne, I am. Melinda is. Catherine is. Tim is. And
Kate.
And Kate. Excuse me, Kate.
So
those. Okay, so those are the members then. Voting members tonight, correct?
Yes.
Great. Okay. We don't have to pick someone else. So anyway, our first continued public hearing is Adam and Ashley Mickelson, 462 Lexington Road in the American Mile Historic District, to install stone walls, granite pillars, gates, fencing, and walkway, and to expand and modify the driveway. Introduce a new curb cut and install cobblestone driveway edging and aprons. Adam, are you the person that's on, or is Evan the person who's speaking tonight?
So we are, I believe, 2 different ones. I thought in the original agenda that Ann had sent around, we were second, but we're ready to go if you want us to go first.
Well, I'll have you first on the agenda.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And unless I have an old agenda.
Well, they're second on mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you might have an old agenda because they're second on my agenda too.
Okay, then I printed an old one. But if you're ready to go, wonderful. Well, no, timing wise, Ann, don't we have to take the other party first because we've told them where they would be on the agenda?
I suppose you do. Right.
Right.
At 7 o'clock was the first one.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
No
Sorry about that.
No problem. I was holding a baby, so I wasn't ready.
Keep the baby going. We'll be back.
These are the
I'm
new-
sorry, I printed an old one.
Audience.
So the next one is the Harris one. Is that true, Ann, since I have an old agenda? Oops.
It's 510 Lexington Road, Eric and Lindsay Tashakor.
Boy.
Yeah, so that's us.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. I better look up on my phone the new agenda so I get on. I'm in line. Anyway, 510 Lexington Road, is that the next one?
First one, yes.
Yes. Evan, go ahead.
So I had a brief introduction, but I can start over. So my name's Evan Colson. I work at Dickinson Architects. I am a junior designer there, and I'm covering for Bill Dickinson, who's the lead architect on this job. So hopefully I can answer all your questions. If not, I can write them down and we can get back to you. But I'm joined with, I believe, just Eric Tashapur today. So what I'll do is I'll describe the existing house and the planned renovations, and then I'll pass it along to Eric, and he can describe why he is doing the project. So I can share my screen now. So on the screen is a picture of the existing house, the existing north and south elevation. So the current structure was built in 1946. It has gone under many renovations over its lifetime. Most of the windows on this house are vinyl windows with grids between the glass, and the shutters are the shutters are vinyl and they're screwed into the siding. So this is a close-up of the windows with the shutters. The side entry door, which is the door right here, that door is also vinyl, and only 2 original wood windows remain on the front of the house. So that is this window right here, and then this window right here. So on the screen now is a plot plan or a location plan, and then a view back towards the back of the property. So the front elevation is the only elevation visible from a public way. The back elevation is visible from a town-owned piece of property. So that's this property right here. The property is landlocked by a private property and is over 700 feet away, and is visually obscured by approximately 350 feet of woods. So that's this picture down here. So on the screen now is the proposed first floor plan and the existing first floor plan. So basically what we're doing is the existing kitchen and the dining area will be fully renovated. The existing bath will be converted into a walk-through pantry. The existing breezeway between the kitchen and the garage will be fully renovated and extended toward the backyard, 6 feet, to accommodate for a half bath and a mudroom. So in the proposed first floor plan, just that 6-foot addition is marked by this little hatch pattern. So on the screen right now is the proposed north elevation and the existing north elevation. The existing front pair of vinyl doors will be replaced with a wood door and a small double hung window. So that's this area of the house. And a dark sky compliant light fixture will be added to the garage door. So that'll be right here. The existing plastic shutters will be removed on either side of the front door, and new gutters and downspouts will be added to the main section of the house at the breezeway and the main house. So we're gonna add gutters, or one gutter here, downspout, and then we're gonna add a gutter to the existing house because the existing house doesn't have gutters. So now this is the proposed south elevation and the existing south elevation. So at the breezeway addition, a wood door and a small awning window will face the backyard. So that's right here. This proposed addition will not be visible from the street. So when you look at it from the front, the shed roof of the addition is hidden by the existing connecting roof right here. And then the proposed kitchen renovation will require that the existing double casement window on the east side will be removed. So that's this elevation. There's an existing double casement window right here. So the proposed addition is coming off the back, so we're gonna have to remove it. And then also on the back, the triple casement window, which is right here, that's gonna be removed and turned into a bay window. Up here, it's gonna be a 30-degree bay window. And the Tashikors prefer a bay window because it provides them better views and more surface area in the small kitchen. And then one more thing that we're doing on the back is this double hung window right here, where you are replacing it with a smaller double hung that will fit in the same existing opening. And it will be slightly downsized. So lastly, I'm just gonna go through a quick material list. So the proposed siding will be cedar shingles. They'll have an exposure of 6 inches, which is gonna match the existing, and they will be painted. The proposed roof will be asphalt shingles, and they will be black to match the existing. The proposed windows will be wood framed windows with clad sashes. They're going to be 5/8 inch simulated divided light grids. And the manufacturer will be Geldwin 5500 wood series windows. The proposed doors that we have, they're going to be wood half light doors with SDL grids, and they will be painted. They will also be the Simpson doors. The trim will be 4.5 inch cedar boards with 1/2 inch cedar sill to match the original windows. And the proposed gutter will be a K-style gutter with rectangular downspout, or with a rectangular downspout, and it will be painted white. The proposed light sconces will be dark sky compliant fixtures, and the color of the house, or the color of the addition, will be paint to match the existing colors of the house. So that's all I have on my end. So now I can pass it to Eric, and he can tell you more about their project.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Eric Tashagrove. Sorry, my wife couldn't be here. She's taking care of our child right now. But just again, there's not really much to say other than we were very excited to find this house. I think the first time we just moved to Massachusetts in the past couple of years. The first time we visited the historic area of Concord, my wife's first reaction, I don't kid, was just, wow, this is really nice. We should buy a house here. And I just sort of laughed because I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And we went to wherever else we were going. And then funnily enough, a couple of years later, here we are, within, at least biking distance of the downtown, which is really nice. So the house has had the same owner for a long time. There's a lot of renovation that we know needs to be done for sort of accommodate our family as we're growing a family here. The plan is to be here for at least 20 years and to just sort of make it into our home. We've already, my daughter already goes to school in Concord for preschool. And so we're just really happy to be here and just want to start making some changes to kind of get the kitchen and the dining area and stuff that really needs work kind of done and get sort of everything kind of in place so we can move in and then start making other changes, start addressing some of these other things. We do know that we want to do windows at some point to replace some of those. We want to do other work there. And so this is really just to kind of get us in there so we can start being there. And we love the area, we love the location, so we're very happy to be here.
Great, thank you very much. Let me open this up to the commissioners to make comments. I will start with Tim.
Yeah, just some detailed questions. There's this. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Storage shed, there's a storage shed on the south side. Is that going to be removed as part of this? It looks like they're sitting on the ground.
Yeah, it's sitting directly behind the garage. There's no plans to remove that at this time.
Okay. And in the comments that Anne did to prepare us for this, she mentioned that the south elevation is visible from conservation land. So I just want to clarify that the south elevation is it's not just Lexington roadside that's public. So there is. Anne, can you confirm that? Is that correct?
Right, so I haven't actually been out to the site. So based on the map, you know, the land to the south is certainly owned by the town of Concord, and there's quite a lot of conservation land there. But again, as I said, I haven't been out to the site, and so I was not aware of the woods that are there. So is that all wooded area?
Yeah, basically the lot extends pretty far back, but our particular area is half of it is just trees. So like we put it on here just again because technically there's a thing there, but I mean I couldn't even tell. I can't see through the trees to see anything. So but they're there.
And it doesn't.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if there are trails there or not, because that's another consideration.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about if there are trails or not.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either. I can write that down though as a comment.
My guess sort of is no if it's blocked by private property and all the different signs, but that's definitely something that we can double check.
Very detailed question, just the wattage of or lumens of the fit light fixtures. You know, we asked that they usually be, I believe, 40, equivalent to a 40-watt incandescent, even if you're using an LED. So certainly night sky is appropriate. You've specified that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, could you say that again? You said 40-watt, and then what else?
Well, you've listed fixtures as dark sky fixtures, so that's good.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's
that's
equivalent
the
to a
light
40
fixtures are
watt
all set.
incandescent is what I
Yeah.
heard.
No, I think the work seems very straightforward and an improvement to the house. I don't really have any other comments. Thank you.
Thanks. Bill? You're muted.
Pardon me, I have the flu.
Oh, great.
Mute. My only question is the back bay casement window, whether a paned casement bay window would be more historically appropriate.
I guess I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't know the exact answer to that either. So you're saying a what paint?
Just instead of a single pane, you know, divided light paned set of bay windows. And of course, it's contingent on the question of whether the south elevation is under HDC jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. I can I'll make a note of that. So you're saying that they make double paned bay windows?
No, not double versus single, but divided light.
Oh, just the divided lights. I don't think the bay window actually has mullions though. I think it's all one.
That's what I took away from the elevation. I'm just wondering whether a divided light version of that window would be more historically appropriate.
Oh, okay.
There's a similar bay window on our neighbor's house to the east. You'll have to forgive me that I don't know the house number, but they've got a bay window that faces our driveway that you can see. So that's, at least it's something that would be similar if it's something that, but again, it's not something this window you won't be able to see from the road. This would be, you'd have to be walking on the woods somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is contingent on whether the south exposure is a public way. There are in fact public access to those tracts of land. I don't think there are trails there, but there's certainly access from public ways to that conquered public land.
Thank you. Bill, Walter?
Just a couple of things. One, there are plantings that show up on one of the drawings there. Are you taking those out on the back, on the south elevation of the house?
Eric, do you know if you guys are doing that?
I don't quite, there shouldn't be like, so what is it that we
I
would
thought
be?
they were planting some bushes or whatever across.
Oh,
the
no,
back.
no, there's nothing back there. There's
Okay.
trees and such, but
They
yeah,
show
we
up in
don't touch
one of the.
yeah, the
The,
yards. There's some
the
bushes
drawing-
in front, definitely.
Yeah, the drawing might have shown it had like a hatch pattern for the earth, but there was no bushes.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I would say about gutters, my advice is always think bigger rather than smaller. I don't know that there's a size other than K specified, but I think we're expecting 2 to 4 inches of rain across a lot of Massachusetts tonight. And larger gutters, I'm sure the architects among us will say, are your friend. So just letting you know that.
I could
yeah.
check. I could check if the size was specified.
Well, that's just my slightly paternal advice here.
No, I appreciate that. We wanted that. There's definitely water that gets into the basement that you can see from.
Yeah,
The gutters would help.
Bigger
stall
gutters
that.
and make sure that you extend them away from the foundation of the house.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, that's an important thing to do. You can put a dry well or dig something, even, the bucket of gravel there to absorb things, but you will thank yourselves after if you do that. I have a question. Is the east elevation of the house visible where the window is disappearing? Is that visible from a public way? From the road?
So if I stand at that window and I look out, I can see the shed and I can see the neighbor. I can't see the road. It's really blocked by the garage and then there's some other. Yeah. No, I'm pretty
okay.
sure all I can see is the back of neighbors' houses. It's a pretty, we're not too worried about losing the window if we can because
Well, I'm not worried about losing the
side of
window.
garage. Yeah, but
No.
but I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't really see very much at all. I can see the side of the house, the side of the
Oh,
garage.
the question is
garage.
more, can you see the window looking from the road rather than
Yeah,
looking from the window?
I haven't been able to see
So-
it, no.
I believe the garage blocks the view
Yeah.
to that
Okay.
window.
Okay, just asking the question.
Mhm.
And I had a question about the dark sky fixtures also in details. Again, I agree, it's great that it's dark sky. Pretty much insistent on that. The question is what the fixture actually is going to be, because that hasn't been specified that I can see. Like a tear sheet or something for it. And I would just say overall, nice presentation, thank you. And as far as the bay window, there goes Bill. I wouldn't be especially concerned about the historic accuracy of it. If we're going back to 1946, I imagine that both were options, unless you have a more detailed sense of that history than I do. But it looks to me like the woods are plenty sufficient for at least obscuring, if not blocking, the view there. So I don't see anything objectionable in the application personally. There we go.
Thank you, Walter. Catherine?
Yeah, so for the most part, I agree with my fellow commissioners. I don't have any problem with the changes that are being proposed. I mean, particularly, I do think that the scale, the treatment of the new fenestrations, and or doors, steps, etc., seem to me very much in proportion and well scaled, with the home in general. So I have no objections.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Luis?
I am sort of a neighbor. I am in 410. You are in 510. And I pass by this house very often. And I think that just about anything that's done to this house is going to be a positive thing. So I'm not particularly worried about the historicity of windows and things like that. You see, this is one of those cases when you should, I would really go for aesthetics, which is something that we really don't like in the HTC. But I think that in the setting of this house, it's a very simple house. And just about anything that you do to it, it will make it much more consistent with the neighborhood. The other thing that is important is that the house just beside you, it's actually quite nice. And your house, it's a little bit of a contrast because your house is a little simpler and less adorned, to say so. So all the changes that you are proposing, I believe that they would be very appropriate, and I have no objection to any of them. I just wanted to mention to Bill Hewitt that I think that these are the lots adjacent to the Millbrook that go all the way down to the Millbrook.
Yeah.
And I have been trying to find a path through there in my few years or decade and a half living basically in the same place. And actually, I have not been able to find one.
I think there are no paths. They are
Exactly.
accessible from the roads on either side, but
And-
there's no paths. So.
And then the southern part of that, it's just this huge farm, and then you get very far away into the Cambridge Turnpike. So I don't think that the south of the house, it's visible from any public way. But I think it's a technicality. But I think that all the changes that are being proposed are very nice, and I think that the result is going to be very good.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
Kate?
Oh, hi there.
Oh.
Okay. I think it's all that's proposed is very appropriate and clear for us to get a grip on. One minor question for Evan. I'm familiar with the JELD-WEN brand, but not with the windows that you propose. So is this
Yeah, the
divided
clad-
like? Yeah, no, but also the the SDL treatment. What's the profile on that like? Is it like half an inch
I
deep?
don't
Is it?
I don't know the exact profile of like so you're talking about like the mullions
Yes.
themselves. I think in the package that was submitted, there's a window detail. But I don't know if it had any mullion detail. So I personally, I don't know the exact answer to that, like how the mullion profile is.
Because those would face, Lexington Road, and when they're, kind of on the flatter side, it just doesn't look appropriate. So I'm just wondering if they've got a little depth to them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the exact answer to that.
I looked at the submission. I didn't see any
Yeah.
button profiles. So I think as a follow-up, it would be good for them to submit it.
Yes.
Yeah, we can follow up with that, definitely.
Okay, yeah, so if you could make a note of that.
Kate, anything else?
No,
Thanks.
thanks.
Melinda? You're muted.
Sorry.
Yeah, where are you?
Do you also have pictures of the lamp that you're planning to put up as well? I just saw also the picture of the door for the first time. But do you also have the lighting picture?
Eric, did you guys pick one out by any chance?
No, we haven't made a selection.
Yeah, so I don't believe we have one. We can add that though. I can add it to the list.
Okay, because we usually do like to take a peek at that. And the door that we just flashed by us, is that the door you're also planning to use?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then if you had more of a picture as opposed to a drawing on that window, that'd be great too.
Oh yeah. So a picture of the JELD-WAN windows.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, then we get a better feel.
Thank you.
Otherwise, everything is very nice.
Great. I think everything's been said. I have nothing to add. I think I agree with Luis. This will be a nice improvement to this house, and I think we'll make it fit in better. So I have nothing else to add. Are there any public comments? Anybody have a raised hand? I do not see any. Anybody have any additional questions? Anything I want to offer before you take a vote?
I just want to before we go, I just want to confirm. I just have 3 notes written down, and I think these are just the only 3 extra things we got to submit. So I have a follow-up with a window mullion detail, and then follow up with a picture of the light fixtures, and then a picture of the JELD-WAN windows. Only those 3 things.
Anybody have anything else to add? No?
I don't believe so.
I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that
Awesome.
that covers it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the application for 510 Lexington Road as submitted, provided that the requested samples and examples are provided.
Great. Do I have a second? Tim, thank you. So let me begin. Well, I'll go down and begin with Kate.
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Bill? Bill, you're muted.
I'm not voting.
Oh, sorry. We used to have everybody vote. We're only doing
Oh,
voting
dear.
members now. So
Well, you
Walter,
can't vote.
Walter,
I'm not voting either.
then it's, well, I'm not sure. Luis, can you vote? I guess you have to, right?
I'm voting too.
And then
Well, I'm-
Melinda.
No, you have
I'm not
5. You have
voting.
5
No,
members.
with me it'll be, yeah, sorry, with me it'll be 5. Melinda, you can tell I'm new to this.
Aye.
Melinda, and
Aye.
then I'm an I. That makes the 5. Sorry about that. So
We'll teach you.
yeah, I
No,
can't
we-
count. That's a problem.
We took away the voting of everybody because then nobody knew exactly who was voting for real. But
Yes,
only
I forget that.
But only the full members or the acting full members were considered, but everybody was voting.
Good. Okay, so I guess you're all set.
Thank you very much, everybody. Really
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, guys. All right. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you. For some reason I just got signed out of my own meeting. The next hearing is, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Good, that's all you need to hear. So I'm back on track again. We're going to continue public hearings, and now we're back to the Mickelsons again.
I just want to let the commission know that I will recuse myself from discussing this application because number one, I'm a neighbor, I'm across the street. And number two, you will hear the name of my wife invoked a number of times, hopefully, I think in a positive way. But she has been involved with the Mickelsons in the design of this garden.
Great, thank you.
Hello, everyone. And thanks for the time again today. I apologize. There's a lot of craziness going on here with the newest members of our family, but I believe Kate is here as well. We did take the feedback you guys had from last time and made I think all the modifications. So we can kind of turn it over to Kate.
Hi, Kate Notman from Blade of Grass. Thanks for having us back. And I just want to say one quick note. I checked the All Trails app and your previous applicant. There are no trails on the land behind, at least according to the app. I did want to show an updated copy of the plan. Based on all the comments and feedback we received last time, we removed the circular drive. Can everyone see the plan? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We removed the circular driveway. We pushed the wall off the road a little bit more so that it sort of threads in between these trees and we wouldn't need to disturb any of the trees. We aligned the cobble strip with the gate as recommended. And we closed up the gap between the fence and the wall over here. We also have, if you want, we were requested to show some elevations, and my design associate spent the week working on these elevations. So this is, you know, the wall, I want to stress again that the wall stone would be similar to other walls on this stretch of road that have been approved recently. We would be more than happy to build a sample wall and have the members of the commission come out to take a look at it and approve it before we continue. So that's something we want to offer up. But the idea is that this would look, the gate isn't, the picture of the gate is more like what's shown on the diagram. We couldn't find a digital model of the gate, so this is a little more sort of fence-like than the gate actually will be, but this is, you know, correct for proportion. And then this is a little bit more into the property. You can see we're taking off the big ramp that's currently on the side of the house from the other end of the yard, the front yard, and there's just another view. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I think we've addressed all of the concerns you had last time, and we really appreciate you helping us work through the design over the last couple of meetings, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you for that concise presentation. Tim?
Yeah, I think the renderings are great, and I know they took a huge amount of time, so I compliment you and the owner on investing in that. And pulling the driveway out from, I think the site plan looks so much better, and getting the drive out from the front lawn, and I also like the stone wall just being a very simple line. So I think that's all improvement. My only minor two comments is I missed the details on the gate. Is there an elevation? Because the rendering's not correct. So is there a drawing of what the gate actually will look like?
Yeah, let me just show, if I go to the driveway, let's see if it's here. Yeah, the thought is that it would be a somewhat similar to this gate that's a little further down the road here. Let me zoom in on this a bit. So something sort of similar to this, or a Chestnut Hill picket that's a little more ornamental than the one shown in the rendering. We just couldn't find a 3D model of the exact gate that we were looking to have.
Is it wood?
Yeah, it would be wood and a Chestnut Hill picket.
I'm pretty sure we do have a picture in there somewhere, Kate. Maybe you got,
Like that.
we can definitely submit that.
Yeah, we can submit that for sure.
Was that a motorized gate?
No, it's a manual gate.
Manual
Yeah.
gate. So it's a double gate.
Yep.
The Emerson House gate is, I don't know what that is. I guess it's a great big single gate. I don't know. So it's a double wood gate that you've got manually operated. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And, I think you heard, I mean, I think a lot of us on the committee are still not, I'm not still a fan of the cobble. I know it's quite small. It's in line with the wall. So I'll defer to others on that, but I think this is looking very good in the simplicity. Thank you.
Thank you. The strip is 1 12-inch strip of antique granite at this point. So it's even simpler than a smaller piece of cobble. It'd probably be 3 or 4 pieces of stone.
We did explore the options of removing it entirely, and there was some concern around it being up against the asphalt and the chip seal. In the end, we're trying to do our best to be amenable to whatever. And I think we just want, I don't necessarily really want to injure the bikers if there's a bunch of chip seal that goes out into the road. And I guess apparently it does play better with the asphalt on the other side if we do include it, but we're trying to we'll do whatever we think is, or whatever you guys feel is consensus for that.
Thank you.
Bill.
Evening, Adam. I share Tim's appreciation for the work that went into the renderings. They look terrific. I have 2 wall-related questions. The first is your offer to create a model wall. I think given the length of this wall and its visibility is probably something that would help to make sure that both the construction of the wall and particularly its top, the rendering makes it look dead flat as though there's flagstone on top, and I suspect that's not your intent. Second is the stone piers that are the gate posts, both for the big gate and the little gate. Seem to me to be out of scale for the American Mile era. The sort of 18 to 24 square posts didn't seem to come into Concord until mid-19th century. If you look at the Revolutionary War era posts, they're almost all 8 or 10 inches square, even on quite large gates. And these posts look just large relative to the era. Now, you'll say the house perhaps is mid-19th century, and therefore those much larger piers are appropriate. And I perhaps not professionally qualified to judge that, but just wondered whether you considered smaller cross-sectional posts.
We did, and that's certainly something that we can consider. We had been sort of basing them on this photograph we found in the town's historic archives, which was dated in the 1880 to 1903 timeframe of a post that is that larger size and is used for a gate post. That's from Bedford Street.
Yeah, no, there's no question those posts got larger as the 19th century moved on. So it's a question of, do you date it to the house or do you date it to the neighborhood?
Right.
I don't know.
The real answer is, Bill, we're amenable to whatever the consensus of the group is on this. And truthfully, some of the renderings, the limitations we had were.
Understand? Yeah, they're terrific.
Trying our best to approximate anything. In this case, if there was consensus for anything, I'm pretty sure we're fine with it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Walter?
I have a fair number of questions. First off, I'll say I understand the effort that goes into doing all those renderings. I was the one, I think, who first asked about elevations. And I still don't have the elevations, other than trying to figure out how high things are. There's a reference somewhere in the presentation to a 4-foot high gate in the front. Is that correct still?
Yeah, both the man gate and the auto gate would be 4 foot high.
Okay, but that's not indicated in the way that the renderings work. And then from there, we have to extrapolate what the height of the wall probably is.
The height of the wall, I believe we had at 30 inches, but let me check. 30 inches, yes.
Yeah, from my perspective, the idea of having an elevation is, you know, to have those questions answered, frankly. So, as I say, I understand the effort that went in, but that's it still doesn't give me the information really that I need. There's also on the roadside wall, there was a reference to it being round field stone in the presentation.
Yeah, the thought was that we would build walls similar to those at 181 and 201.
So it would be round field stone,
Yeah, there's only,
which
you know,
doesn't show up that way in the rendering.
yeah, there's only,
Yeah.
we're limited by the materials we can find to do the rendering with, and
Well,
that's,
then you know, hand draw it so that it's to scale and has round things. I'd say, let's not be slaves to our computers. And the other thing about the renderings also, to me, you know, distort the perspective on the house as well as you look at it. There's a lot of green grass that's computer generated there, but it doesn't give me a sense of how far the wall is set back from the street. It doesn't give me a sense of what that lot actually looks like, which is really what I think that we need. There was talk about having a site visit. We decided, I believe, not to do that. But the renderings don't convey a sense of the depth or the lack of depth of the front yard. Just saying. And I am still concerned about the granite and the cobblestone there. There's talk about chip seal. Chip seal to me is a bitumen, if I can say the English, layer down with gravel that's pressed in. Is that your understanding as well?
yeah, it's an asphalt surface, is applied with a sort of tacky top coat, and then
Right.
stone is rolled into that.
Right, and if you put pea gravel in, well, what size stone are you looking at?
It's about a little bit smaller than a pea gravel size, and it's a little bit more of a less of a rounded, more of a sharp edged.
Well, the sharp edge is great. The smaller than pea size is much more likely to travel, isn't it?
Well, hence we're not taking it all the way out to the street, and then
Right,
hence
yeah, no, I understand. My point, I guess, would be that if you had a larger aggregate, it's much less likely to be a problem traveling. And if it's less likely to be a problem traveling, then the necessity or the urge to have the granite border there becomes smaller. Yeah, I don't think that even going to the one strip of the granite there is what, you know, it ends up setting precedent. And the meeting quite a while ago that we had about this initially, we were giving the grace, I believe, of till December of 2024 to remove that. And instead it's a constant in the proposal. So I'm curious.
I mean,
about
it's been modified substantially since that one.
Right,
and
but the instructions, I believe, were not
Incredible
that it
work
would
and
be
effort.
modified. It was that it had not been approved and that it would be taken out, given, as say, the grace of your family situation until December. So I'm not convinced that it's a great idea to have the granite still. I'm just saying.
Again,
And in the prose, at one point, you're talking about the necessity of the gates and the wall across the fence and all because people come onto your property thinking it's an inn.
No, I think the really the biggest concern by far is that you know, we have five small children and animals, and
Yeah.
it is a very, very busy road.
Yeah,
And
I understand.
do anything I can to protect them at all costs. And
No,
I think
I do understand that. And I think my answer to that last time was that we need to protect the historic district. That's our charge, and they're perhaps in conflict a little bit. But I believe the pros that you had at one point in the presentation was talking about living in the old Hawthorne Inn, the Mickelsons experience a variety of people coming to their property uninvited. This diminishes their sense of security and, more importantly, introduces a breach in security. The gates for seeking permission to install will act as a delineation. And I'm saying this with a smile at this point, but when I read your Yelp page for the inn, it tells me that you still offer free Wi-Fi.
So we don't have a Yelp page, and
Well, have you Googled the Hawthorne Inn recently?
yes, unfortunately, we do not control any of those.
Well, you could, this is independent of everything else. This is fellow Concordian friendly advice. I believe you can take control of your listing.
The website's still
Google or Yelp.
live too, actually. You can't make a reservation, but we can't get it taken down. We've asked many times for
Have you tried claiming the site? Because right now it's still an unclaimed site, I believe. On
Hawthorne Inn website.
But the other point about this, you also have a sign in front, right?
At one point, it was recommended we kept it there, so we haven't taken it down.
I guess I'd recommend you take it down.
That was a
it
prior HDC meeting, I think, where that occurred. So we just been trying to be amenable and understanding of the needs of all. And so we didn't touch it yet.
Okay. I'm just saying, if these issues of security and intrusion,
it's more the speed and rapidity of the people, how they drive up and down Lexington Road. And
I understand that as well. Yeah, I've raised 3 kids and lived on busy streets, so I do understand that.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't want to belabor this too much, other than to say that I'm still not a fan of the granite. I would like to see what the wall actually is going to look like instead of computer rendering of a flat-topped and flat-fronted wall. And I do think that the posts and all there are quite a bit upscale. And the bigger problem with this is having a wall at all on there. It's an extremely important historic street, and a great part of its sense of history has to do with the placement of the walls along it and the narrative of the battle. So anytime that there are walls that are put on, it's a challenge as to whether you put a wall up that is appropriate to the period of the house, or whether you put a wall up that honors a history of the time for most of the history of the street. Honoring the history of the street creates a false sense of history, unfortunately, and the other is perhaps a more modern intrusion than on be. So it's literally a rock and a hard place. And my last thing would be, I'd say, have you ever considered having a fence instead of a wall there? Given that Lexington Road is especially sensitive to walls. Less so fences, I would think.
We did discuss a variety of options. I think maybe an earlier meeting where I don't remember exactly who was present at that one. We did discuss a lot of different options, and I think some people were more fans of stone walls, some were more fans of fences. It wasn't exactly clear which was different. I think, like I did kind of note last week, Ashley grew up in Concord, and her grandfather was a mason and worked on the
I remember
museum, as well as countless different stone walls around town. So I guess in some ways we are paying homage to our family history in Concord as well. And I think building that wall is very symbolic. Like I said, my father-in-law would like to participate in the building of that wall.
I'm going to step on you just a little bit and say, I understand the family history, but if the family history is balanced against an intrusion in the history of the town and the history of Lexington Road and the Battle Road.
Yeah, we have a road with countless stone walls that would be comparable, right? Including one that was built new a year ago. So I think I understand the importance of trying to utilize materials that are historically appropriate and making sure that we're not trying to do something that would be.
Well, I trust that will be the case. It's not evident from the renderings that were proposed, but I'll do my best to be at peace and trust you with that one.
Thank you.
So I won't belabor this further.
And I
Thank
think
you, Walter.
I think that's the reason we would like to offer, you know, for the commission members to come over and see sample stone walls to see what they'd be getting.
Great, thank you.
I think our goal is, you know, something that would be, I think what we discussed at some of the prior meetings, I can't remember if it was formally or informally, around having, you know, a wall that is not perfectly symmetrical. I think, Bill, to your earlier question, that it looked like it was flat on top. That is not our goal. I think at one point, Dr. Brizbiti used the term stark, and I think these are all things that we're going to try to keep in mind and are important to all of us as we think about ensuring that we're making something that will be, you know, our family home for ideally generations.
Thank you. Catherine.
So I would just take the perspective that, you know, this is a family home. And I think Adam and Ashley have done extreme due diligence and have tried very deliberately and very thoughtfully to incorporate the historic touchstones and details of their neighborhood into this plan, with also trying to balance against the considerations of safety and security of their family and the attractiveness of the property. But, you know, there are a lot of practical considerations here, and, you know, time does move on. And believe me, I am very much in heart and soul aligned with trying to maintain and, you know, continue to preserve the very important historic, you know, background and history of Concord. But again, not that Walter doesn't bring up a lot of good points here, but again, when I look holistically at the plan, and I also look at the direction this project has taken from the beginning, I think it's very sensitive. I think it's a good direction. So, you know, I really do appreciate, Kate, that we are going to be able to have the opportunity to see the quality and the structure of this stone wall, at least you know, a little piece of it, that I think will be helpful. Because of course, I think we all have a mind to wanting that wall to look naturalistic and in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood. But you know, otherwise, I really think it's a very good balance. I mean, there always has to be a little bit of compromise in these situations, I think. And so I personally think it's a great project and well done. You know, yes, I do think maybe the stone posts on either side of the entry gate could be maybe a toned down a little bit, a little less massive. You know, otherwise, again, I think it's striking a very good balance between a nod to the neighborhood and the history and the architectural vernacular and the needs of this family. So that is my perspective.
Catherine, thank you very much. Kate.
Hi there. Adam and Kate, thanks so much for this amazing turnaround from the front driveway to what you've come up with also in the midst of everything else. So I'm wondering if, and this is for my fellow commissioners too, I think we should have a site visit here. Does anyone else think so? To kind of just get a grip on what's being proposed. This is a visible property. And I'm not sure if some of us, I know I'm not, are quite grasping the whole context of what's being proposed. No? Anyone? Okay.
I mean, we'd be happy to set that up for you. We could also lay out where things will go, you know, with flags and tape and things, so you can see where they'd be on the site.
And I guess I know many of you have been here before we did the original work for the garage. I mean, if someone wanted to drive by anytime, they're welcome to, if you didn't want to have a formal group visit.
Because I do think we need elevations as Walter has suggested. I agree with Catherine that overall project has been looking great, but for me, I feel like I guess maybe I'll just go over there. I'll bike over there, and just take a look at just everything relative to each other. The stone wall is relative to the driveway,
Right.
just things like that.
Okay,
Wanna hold it maybe when you're there?
I share Walter's concern about where the heck the stone wall is, because the renderings relative to the street don't show it. So I would love to see the wall staked out in just simple forms so we know where that wall sits on the site and could look at it. I'd like to see that. So I second your concern about that.
I think
Yeah,
we
we'd
did
be
specify
happy
the
to arrange that.
distance from the street, which I think Kate actually measured the wall built down the road. And I don't remember the exact distance, Kate, but I think we had it specified in one of the I think the prior.
It'd be good to have as just a few stakes so we could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look.
Stakes with some tape on it so you can really sort of, I went up and down Lexington Road and measured a number of properties, and where the wall is proposed falls within the range of what is up and down the road.
Oh, I can believe that. I mean, I know you've given this, you know, a lot of consideration from different angles, but for us to just see it, you know, get a grip on it all in context, in place.
Absolutely.
It's not like a gotcha.
No,
action.
no, we're happy to set that up.
So at least Tim and I will go. Maybe Walter will too.
I'd be happy.
But
happy to join.
I'm
so
happy to.
that is my one request. I would agree that although they look kind of neat, the stone posts on either side of the wall are, you know, for my reckoning, for at least that particular part of the district, a little too sizable. And the other thing I wrestle with is the cobble. I know it's sort of a practical thing, but to the commissioners, this is of less concern to the homeowners, but to the commissioners, do we really want to set that precedent? People just putting in cobbles and then it just staying in there, because a lot of people have these chip seal driveways and they do drive them crazy. But I just, you know, this whole presentation is full of pictures from other sites, which is very reasonable. So just food for thought, there would be other pictures of this cobble showing up down the road. So if it's something as a rule we don't like, then, you know, there it is.
And if there are a post size that would be somewhat consensus, if someone could just let us know, we're happy to incorporate that really in any way. I mean, the cobble thing, I don't know. Honestly, we don't care that much about it. It is practically a little tricky to find a way. And I do care about the bikers, even though I don't bike myself. I just don't love the idea of bikers who are commonly all over Lexington Road somehow like hitting pebbles and then, you know, being injured. I think that's not a great scenario. So I'm trying to find a way to avoid it. If there are other solutions that you guys can think of that would accomplish the same thing without impacting, you know, what clearly is a taste issue that is not enjoyed, we're not trying to do that. And if there's a better solution, we'll do it. So just, I think we're looking for a little bit of guidance. We've been here informally and informally trying to find the right answers. And I think we're trying to come up with something that is functional as well as aesthetically appropriate. And again, I don't love the idea of a biker being injured, even though I guess it's not.
It's all over. As someone who bikes all over town,
yeah,
I'm always wiping out. There's nothing that can be done about it. There's just gravel all over the place, particularly this time of year.
Anyway, so since you are a biker, if there's an idea that you think could accomplish both and somehow make it slightly safer for you, as well as being aesthetically in line with what HDC was seeking, we'll take it.
No, it's a good helmet and keep your tires in condition. That's about it. Then with regards to the cobble, I know you said you've come here a few times and you're looking for as much guidance as you can get, and which you've always been very responsive to. Then the cobble should come out. We didn't approve it. And it's not something we
It's
probably.
moving in any scenario, so it wouldn't be, it's not like we're trying to save money by keeping it there. It is not at all that, so that, I think that was the concern last time. And so we eliminated it entirely. We'll find a way to use it somewhere else. It is not, we're not trying to save money. We're not trying to usurp the decision from a while ago regarding that
Right.
the couple we thought was approved, because it was identical to the one that was approved by the garage. But that was a mistake that I take full responsibility for. And we're not trying to reuse it in that space. We're not trying to be tricky in any way. So in this case, it is a much tinier version of that. And was not an attempt to reuse or do anything that would be indicative of that. I think last time we had it slightly behind, I can't remember if it was I think slightly behind the gate, and that was believed to not be great. So we moved it exactly in line with the gate to make it that. But again, it's going to get moved as per the prior meeting from a long time ago, no matter what. So it's a question of what do we put there to make it as safe as possible for everybody.
Well, that might be something that we get clarity on as well at first with a site visit when Tim and I go.
And me.
And Walter too. And anybody else. Oh, okay. Oh, look at now you guys are stepping up.
She's gonna have a crowd.
But anyway, I think it continues to look good. I know you're putting a lot of heart and soul in this, and I do think it was good that you took out the front driveway. For the sake of the property and for the district. That was my biggest concern. So anyway, I will hand it over to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you. Melinda.
Yeah. I was so delighted to see that you actually listened to our guidance and plan to implement all of the things that are most of everything. That I didn't even want to criticize anything else because it was so much better. But I'll tell you why I want to come to the site visit, which I think we all pretty much want to do. I do want to see, and we could not see tonight, the distance of the wall to the street. You said you're going to move it closer, but we haven't really seen where it was going to be before. So we would like to see that.
Right.
And I would also like to see, and I don't know if you will do a little trial section, because honestly, how that stone wall is going to look is really critical. It can't be too contemporary, and so if they could put up a small portion of it so that we could get a little feel, I think that'd be great. Otherwise, and you basically agreed that you'll take out the cobblestones, so I think that's no longer an issue. Just go ahead and do it. That'll make us very happy too. I think a site visit would be fun for us all.
Great, thank you. I think that we've heard a lot of comments from all of you, so I don't have anything in particular to add. I just want to remind you all that we're not Colonial Williamsburg. We're not trying to create, a 18th century street. And this is, if Orchard House came to us, would you make them put in, and they wanted to put a wall, would you make them put in a colonial wall, even though Orchard House was not there? So I think this whole idea, if we're to go back to when the HD was founded, we've been protecting Concord in 1961. So I think that we've really got to keep in mind this is a mixed street now. There are a variety of houses from all periods here, and to try to hone to an 18th century standard for this street the horse has left the barn. We have to be sympathetic. We have to look at it through those eyes and do things that are not detrimental. But let's not try to recreate a 18th century street. We could create a 17th century street because part of it was 17th century. So try to make up try to take this into consideration when we make these judgments. I do hear that we want a site visit. that means that you're gonna try to come into the next meeting? I'm gonna hear from the public in a minute, but we're gonna try to make the changes and set up the stone wall for our next meeting?
So
3 weeks?
I doubt we could build a mock-up of the wall by then. I'm sure we could put up stakes and things like that. Is that enough? I mean, I think are we even allowed to build a mock-up of the wall without approval, or it would be conditional approval pending the site visit there that day? Or I'm just trying to understand what we would be doing exactly before the next meeting. We can definitely stakes for sure, no question asked. Whenever
I'm hearing we want part of the wall established so you can see it, or with stakes too, for the members who are concerned about the wall.
Well, stakes
I
fine for me. I mean, in terms of distance from the road, how
Mhm.
deep it'll be, you know.
Here's my suggestion. We have a site visit with stakes and other things that lay out the site. And second, you all pick 1 or 2 stone walls in a historic district in Concord to which you will build, like the old manse. I mean, pick your address and we can make sure that wall is consistent with the philosophy here, rather than try to rush to build a model wall in a week in the winter. So
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a fine facsimile.
Great.
A very wise suggestion.
Good. So we're going to stake out where the wall is going to be, and we're going to have you submit some photos of what you feel the wall should look like.
But Dennis, it doesn't have to be even photos if there are walls in town.
the address,
What's that?
the
Yeah,
address.
The address.
Right, the address would be fine, sure,
The idea is to be able to physically see an
at
example
them.
of what the wall is most likely to be like. And
Right.
they already exist. They don't have to be built then.
Yeah, and
Right.
again, no wall will exactly be the same, but I think I can assure everyone here, we are not trying to create some modern mess. I hope what everyone already can see is our love of Concord is great. My wife is a daughter of Concord, and we care deeply about this town and are not trying to do anything that would be distasteful in any way. So I think hopefully you all will see that our efforts are sincere, and we'll try to find a solution that works for not only our family's safety, but also for the needs of the HDC.
Yeah, and I would just say, as probably the harshest expression of criticism here, that I understand that completely. And, I mean, it may not be obvious, but I'm on your side. I want it to work out, right? But I want it to work out in the way that
I think we've honestly enjoyed all of our interaction here, whether it was from before we even moved here to now. I think you guys have been very gracious and creative and thoughtful. We've been very fortunate to have Dr. Brisby as our neighbor, and his wife has been incredibly instrumental and helpful in changing slight nuances of this. I think this is going to be a many-year evolution. I suspect we'll be back at some point with other things we may or may not do over time. But I think what I hope you see is a family that is committed to this town and committed to preserving history, to Dennis's point, within reason, but also making sure that we're meeting the needs of our family as well as the town.
Great, thank you. Maybe I should stop a minute and ask if there are public comments.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
So I live on Lexington Road, and Walter touched on this issue, but I think I just need to mention it, is the stone walls on the north side of Lexington Road, which I live on, is tucked into the hills, and there's retaining walls on the north side. There are almost no, and in fact, I'm not sure there are any stone walls on the south side of Lexington Road. That's really the edge of the old lake from 12,000 years ago. It's a lot of muck and farmland, and but on the north side, it was retaining. It's been tucked into the hills. It's a gravel base. Our house sits on gravel. South side, it's mucky. It's the old lake bed from thousands of years ago. So I just throw that out, that this is a stone wall that's going up in a more of a historically a farm setting. The farms are on the south side of Lexington Road, and the few houses that have any barriers along Lexington Road. And I was just scrolling along. I was just trying to remind myself. I was looking at my phone. I couldn't find any, including the Emerson house, which is referenced in this presentation. It's all contained by wood fences. A lighter, more friendly. I don't know, more friendly, but it's a lighter, more agricultural look, if you will, versus, and if you go down the north side, almost every house has a stone wall because it's retaining. So I'm just throwing that out there as an observation as we consider the stone wall.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? I don't see any hands. Okay, back to the site visit. And I'm gathering here, we haven't had a motion yet on what we're going to do with this, but I'm gathering it's going to be a continuance. Maybe we should do that first. Do I have a vote on how we should proceed, or a motion, excuse me?
I move that we continue the application of 462 Lexington Road till the next meeting or pending a site visit. Can we add, but we're getting really close?
Yeah. Sure. And Adam, do you think and Kate, you'll be ready for the meeting in 3 weeks?
We'll make sure we are.
Yeah, I
That sounds-
think if you can give us a time when you can meet, we will make the setup happen.
Okay.
It would be,
It's usually at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it would
That's
be
fine.
yeah, it would
Whatever
be
it
8
needs
o'clock.
to be, we will be accommodating.
So, and when's the next meeting? What's the date of it in 3 weeks? I don't have it in front of me.
I believe it's
27th.
March 27th.
27th, yeah.
Okay. So March 27th at 8 o'clock, we'll meet at the Mickelsons. Everybody on board? Now, you passed the continuance, and I forgot to get a vote from everybody on the continuance, which we have to do. Is there a second to the continuance?
I second it.
Okay, Tim.
All right.
Make sure I get the right people here. Catherine.
Aye.
Kate.
aye.
Melinda.
Aye.
And then I need one more. Is that Walter or is it Bill? I forget which one.
You?
it is. I'm the fifth. So I vote for the continuance also. Any other questions? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you so much.
Aye.
Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Okay. The next continued public hearing is Adeline Harris. My sheet doesn't show whether it was yellow or not. Was that what continued to our next meeting, or is that tonight?
She asked to continue till April 17th.
And same thing with the church, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So that's the end of that's the end of tonight's hearings. Anything anybody would want to add? I have a couple of things, and I don't think yes, we do have some minutes to pass. Anne? Oops, I lost her.
Yes, that's right. Sorry. The minutes of October 19th and November 2nd that are
Right.
up in the current meeting documents.
Anybody want to make comments or make a motion?
They all look fine to me.
I reviewed them. They look fine to me.
I'll move we accept the minutes as posted.
Okay, both sets, 19th and November 3rd.
Yes.
Is that a second?
Second.
Why don't we just do all in favor on the minutes?
All right.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. the minutes pass. Thank you very much. Anybody have any, I have one piece, but anybody else have any other business they want to come before the meeting?
Here's a question. I don't know what the forum is for this or whatever, but just from the issue we just had, speaking about cobbles, they do come up from time to time, driveway cobbles. And, and we normally don't allow them, but then following on the heels of your reminder, Dennis, that we're not looking to preserve Colonial Williamsburg. Just, wondering if we should reconsider that one.
There are guidelines.
Yeah, I know that, Walter.
Well, I know you know that.
Kate, why don't you bring that up at our, we haven't voted one way or the other on the cobblestones because we haven't taken a vote yet. So that can certainly come back up at the next meeting. So you're gonna have one more shot at least one more shot at this that I know of.
All right,
Consider the cobbles.
just priming that pump. I don't care either way, but just wondering.
Oh, the guidelines have explicit language about driveways.
Yeah. True.
So,
Great. Well, we'll
I
review
can't
those
quote
before
it.
the next meeting.
What's that?
Kate, thank you. We'll review those before the next meeting. Thank you. Any
I
other
have one
comments?
other stray thing that I mentioned, which is the application still talks about the Concord Journal. An application for anything that goes before the.
Yeah, we talked about that last time and said she'd correct that.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, it's still there. With a smile, just a minor thing.
Thank you for keeping us
On
honest.
again.
Great. Good, thank you very much. My last piece is as you know, there's a warrant article, warrant article 41, I believe it is, that calls for a task force by the DEI Commission for both the Historical Commission and the Historic Districts Commission to look at their operations. There's been a lot of discussion with the DEI Commission about this particular warrant issue, article for on the warrant. And I have had, Tim has agreed to work with me on meeting with the DEI and reviewing what they have to say. He came down with the flu, so I had a meeting last week with Joe Palumbo and Andrea, who's working with him, to discuss common interests and concerns they might have. And it was a very friendly discussion, a very warm discussion. I think we discovered we have the same goals in mind. There's nothing they're offering to do that or want to do that I saw that was problematic. And through that discussion, I know they've also had discussions, I think maybe just today, with the Historical Commission about the warrant article. During a discussion, 3 points came up, and these are points we're working on. They're in process. One is to be supportive of the goals of the DEI in what we do, and maybe produce a statement of inclusion moving forward. The second is to look at our language, and I think we all agree it's a bit out of touch when you talk about a chairman rather than a chair or a chairperson, and then we have a lot of he's and not many she's. So this agreement, we should look at that. They're also talking about procedures, practices, and protocols, and those Tim and I both feel we want to know more about what they're talking about in those cases. And the third one is to try to the best of our ability to find members of the commission that from a diverse background. And I reminded them, and some of you may remember this, we had a very nice young man, maybe Luis, you remember, the young man, older man, quite older man, unfortunately, because he didn't stay with us very long, who is, I think, either Indian or Pakistani. Do you remember Luis?
Oh, yes, that was Satish Dhingra.
Satish Dhingra.
Satish
Right.
Dhingra was an architect. He was a very competent architect and a very wise man.
Right.
And unfortunately, he passed away while being a member of the commission.
Right.
And
right.
he lived in Hawthorne Lane. So he would give me drives rides back home.
So we are trying to be as inclusive as possible, given with the fact that we also need people who are have an interest and skill in the areas that we're working with. So those are the 3 points that we're still working on. But we have a hearing coming up on Monday night with the select board, and this warrant issue is going to come up. It came up last week. They tried to table it, but the chair, Henry Dane, moved ahead with discussion, and there were 3 voices who spoke up against this article. There were no that I know of in support of the article, and members of the DEI commission were not present at that meeting. But because they were not, the feeling was that this should be at the next meeting of the select board, which will be on Monday. In my discussions with the DEI commission, we came up with an approach to this article. And that approach is that if we all agree collaboratively to work together to make progress on long-held goals that we all have for inclusion, that there's no longer a need for Article 41, and they'll withdraw the article. So I'm prepared to stand up at the meeting. And I think actually I probably got the date wrong. I think the meeting, well, I'm not sure if it's this Monday or it is or if it's coming up.
It's March 18th, Dennis.
March 18th, excuse me, on March 18th. So I'm prepared to stand up if I'm still here, because I'm planning to go to LA around that time. But I'll ask Tim if I'm not, to support the fact that we will work together with the DEI on these three points, and in general work toward a better understanding and cooperation between the Historic Districts Commission and DEI. I can't speak for the Historical Commission, but anyway, that would be the approach that we would take, and they would then drop Article 41. So that's where we stand, and I'm willing to take any questions you may have about that.
I just wanted to make a comment. Can anyone hear me?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say that I will be very cautious in making formal agreements with the DEI, because the way I see it, and I have pronounced myself in public about this matter before, it's that the DEI is a commission to implement social change, and that's their mandate. We are a commission to maintain the historic references of the town. And I think that we have been very proactive in doing that, and we have been very proactive also in being inclusive. There are many examples where the HDC has been very militant about keeping the interests of minorities and other underrepresented communities. So I don't see any matter of substance that the DEI could criticize or would have any say in the way that we operate. And I have to remind the commission that this whole thing started in early December, when out of the blue they produced this warrant. And then we had a meeting with Joe Palumbo, with members of the Historic Commission and members of the Historic Districts Commission, and we asked him, what the issue was. And he could not articulate the issue. He could not say exactly what was wrong with the HTC. They came up with some very weak examples that some Boy Scouts had tried to put some flags, but they didn't do it because the HTC was going to say no, or something of that sort. So there was absolutely nothing of substance that came out of that meeting. And it wasn't until much later when I was chair at the time, I insisted that the DEI make a formal presentation before the commission, that Andrea Fonserrada came up with the issue of the language of the rules and regulations and the language of the enabling legislation of 1960. So I think that these are very weak excuses to question what is the purpose of the Historic District Commission. The purpose of the Historic District Commission is very well defined, and the HTC since 1960 has been implementing it very, very well. And you know, having the DI change the language, well, sure, of course, we were going to change it anyway. And we're going to change the Concord Journal for the Concord Bridge, and we're going to change the chairman. And you know, the enabling legislation still talks about the selectmen, things of that sort. But these are entirely non-significant matters. So I have to question again, and here I talk strictly as a matter of experience and some instinct. What is the ulterior purpose of the DEI in trying to use the HTC as an instrument of their aspirations for social change? So I encourage our chair, which I respect very much for his wisdom and knowledge, that he be very, very cautious, and everybody from the HTC that goes to those meetings, because I don't see any matter of substance that the DEI could criticize in front of the HTC. And I know that this meeting is being recorded, so they can, everybody can hear my opinion on the subject. On the other hand, I think that it's excellent to cooperate with the DEI, and we have been cooperating with the DEI on our own for a long, long time. You see, we drag our feet for a long time when adding George Washington Dugan to the plaque in Monument Square, because we wanted to make sure that it was understood that he had been discriminated. And that's the way that we should respect the history of people that were not included before. And, you know, we drag our feet a number of years ago. Nobody remembers that, when we put a temporary glass structure adjacent to the manse, because it was an allegory to the Freedom Railway. And a lot of people thought that it was a very bad decision in part of the HTC, and we stuck to it, and the thing is stayed. And I think that in that sense, we are very active. We are more active than the DEI in that matter, because the DEI is, from my perspective and from what I hear and read, they are quite focused on things that are largely symbolic, you know, like saying, I've been trained in inclusion and I have a decal in my window to show it, and things of that sort. So I don't want to be dismissive of all these efforts, and I think that they are very important. But I see the matter in a way that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very, very serious matter, and it cannot boil down to we're going to change the language of the rules and regulations, and then we have accomplished a purpose. I don't think they are accomplishing any purpose regarding DEI by doing that. I've spoken too long already, so thank you for listening.
Luis, thank you. Other opinions? So there are sort of two choices here, I think. Well, right now there are, and there may be other more subtle ways we can do this, but we can either say we would be glad to collaborate with them moving forward with no details, simply saying we'd be willing to collaborate and continue talking with them about how we can work together on meeting their goals. Or we can simply oppose Article 41 as it stands. So I'd like to get a sense of the commission on their feelings about this.
I mean, I think I would personally say that I'd be certainly open to working with them.
I would too. I haven't read Article 41. I'm embarrassed to say, so I don't know whether we should oppose it or not. But as I said in the last meeting, I am not thrilled with generic compliance actions that have no relationship to our mission and are literally generic. That is not accomplishing anything.
Bill and Luis, I would say that on that point, in particular, which is the reason that the 3 points that we've discussed are still in the talking stages, because we don't want it to be intrusive. And that I think Luis is right. We don't want to do anything that changes how we operate structurally in dealing with infrastructure. We're not dealing with content. That's why those are still open for discussion. So I do agree on that point, which is why I would only agree to a very general statement concerning DEI, which just says that we will continue to work with them as we've done already to come up with ways in which we can work together to move forward.
Sounds wise to me.
The Article 41 is, I mean, Dennis, I think correct me if I'm wrong, you've said to them that as it stands now, there's no way you would support it, correct? Or
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. If you read Article 41, it's really kind of doesn't make
Boilerplate?
some items that are, that sound okay, but we need to understand. We do have to be extremely careful about that, and I think going into the next meeting is going to be with the select board is going to be where however we make our stand, correct, Dennis? I mean, that's what we're going to be saying is.
Correct. And I've made it clear to them that if they moved ahead with Article 41, we'd oppose it as it stands.
So Dennis, am I correct in my memory that the DEI's relationship with the HDC is the first the first place that they have focused?
Right, HDC and the Historical Commission. I still don't understand why. Maybe I never asked them that question, but yes, we are. We're their first target.
Right. I would think that it would make an awful lot of sense, assuming that ultimately the broadest target is all the language in the town as a whole and town government as a whole. I would think that it seems to me a little bit premature to be this focused this deeply on just the HDC to start when it's a much broader area of concern. That's all. Not well put forward here, but
I agree with you. I think that they need to create a template for all the commissions and committees to agree to in terms of language change, and maybe other matters.
And if the concern is with a Commonwealth level charge for language, I would think that would be where it should be changed.
Yeah, I think
that's overriding for the entire Commonwealth and not just for one part of the town of Concord.
Right.
Well, they have stated that they are going to do that with all the commissions in Concord. That's what was publicly stated by Joe Palumbo at some point. So
yeah, we're just a starting point.
Yeah, we're the lowest hanging fruit.
Well, to to the credit, there is an argument that dealing with bodies that deal with the history of the town is a reasonable place to start. But I would imagine that being able to speak, say, to Senator Barrett and see if there was a way to introduce legislation on a Commonwealth level that allowed changes such as the DEI is looking for on the town level would make an awful lot of sense. Might
Well,
just
I would suggest that we should engage a subcommittee of our commission and review the grammatical, the syntax and the construction of our rules and regulation, the guidelines of administration and the design guidelines, and make all the changes that Andrea Fonserrada suggested, because actually that has been the most positive contribution that they have made. You see, they identified all the selectmen and changed for the he or she for they, and did all those things. And we can do that. And those are documents that we can approve within an HTC meeting. We don't have to go to the select board. We don't have to go anywhere because they are internal documents of the HTC. The enabling legislation, that's an entirely different story. And that has to go to Beacon Hill.
so can the DEI, or are they thinking about, and Dennis, maybe you know the answer to this, are they looking at the internal documents for the HTC with positive suggestions for what could be changed?
That's the only thing that I came up with. That's the only thing they came up with in a meeting that we had on the December 21st. I think that we asked, well, it was, I don't know exactly when that meeting was, but we asked Andrea Fonserrada and Joe Palumbo to come with the specific issues, because we had one formal meeting and two informal ones with Joe asking what are the issues, and he never came up with anything that was very convincing. So we asked that they submit an agenda of the matters that they were going to discuss, and that is in one of the, I don't know if it's in one of the agendas of the HTC meeting or it's somewhere. I'm sure that Ann Clifford can find it. But the only thing that they came up with was, construction, language construction changes like select men to, select board, and she and he for they, and things like that. That's the only positive contribution that I have seen.
Well, if that's the positive contribution, and those are things that are in our power to change, we should.
We can do it tomorrow.
It's a gesture of good faith, and
we can do it tomorrow.
And some guidance here. This may take more discussion, and it may mean members may have to be involved in this. But we don't meet again in a public meeting until let's see, are we meeting after this meeting or before? Let me see, the 18th. When's our next meeting?
27.
March 27th.
Yeah, so we're not going to meet until well after the next hearing. So how do we proceed to discuss this? Do we have a special meeting? How do we deal with this with the open meeting laws?
Yes, you could schedule a public meeting. It would need to be, we'd have to have 48 hours notice so that we could post it.
Okay. So I'm looking for some guidance on moving forward. I threw out two options, which still may be on the table, but I have the feeling that we're going to need some more discussion, and maybe discussion with DEI before we make any decision. Or we can cut to the chase and just say we're opposed to Article 41 and move forward that way.
Well, Article 41 is all-encompassing. The Article 41, if I remember well, says to review the charge, the procedures, and the guidelines of the HCC and the Historic Commission. So it's a go for the jugular, change everything, and report in 3 months. That's the language that says.
It is a language that's in 41. So again, I've been looking at it for two ways. One is for them to take away Article 41, for them to say that they want it removed, And we would agree to continue discussions with them about changes that we may want to make, and they may only come down to language at that point. They would like more than that. Or we can simply oppose Article 41, or we can schedule a public meeting to discuss this further. Suggestions from anyone?
It strikes me that the sentiment of the committee members is pretty clear. Would another public meeting help?
I don't know. I'm not advocating it. This,
Yeah, no, I'd rather, for any ergs of energy we have, I'd rather devote it to things like finding diverse candidates for the committee and fixing the language and doing things as opposed to negotiating with other town groups on things.
So, does anybody want to make a motion on for the committee on how we should proceed? If there's general agreement on what Bill had to say, and I don't know what the feeling is about that. The two items on the table are, do we just simply oppose Article 41, or do we not support Article 41, but agree to work with the DEI to come up with a collaborative way to move forward, and what some would say would be a more positive way to view it.
I'm not trying to be pedantic here. I'd flip the order and I'd say the committee looks forward to working with the DEI task force, but we don't believe that Article 41 is necessary or appropriate. Period.
It's almost and therefore.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the consensus.
That's what I hear.
Okay, so the consensus is that on the 18th, and I will, Bill, I look to you to send me an email with that. I want to make sure I get the wording correct. That we would agree to work with them if they drop Article 41. Is that where we stand?
I wouldn't phrase it that way, but I'll draft an email.
That's my shortcut. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what needs to be conveyed is that there isn't. I mean, I don't think there's anyone on the HDC who is opposed to the ultimate goal of honoring what DEI feels needs to be honored in town. The question is the whether it's necessary to formally go through with 41. To force the hand of the HDC. It's like, uncle, yes, we're there.
Agreed.
Dennis, the sort of three items that I guess they drafted, correct?
There were three that came out of the discussion I had with them.
And so we're keeping it, well, I think what we're talking about is keeping it even looser than that, correct? We're saying,
right.
We're not talking about boxing ourselves into three items. We're saying we are open to discussion and input, and we're against Article 41.
We're happy and receptive, and don't feel that there's a need to have Article 41 to force us to be.
And not go in. I guess I'm just clarifying that we don't go in on the 18th with any agreement on 3 points as well. But
right.
We want to keep it much more general than that, even though they may want to have 3 points agreed to.
They do want the 3 points agreed to, but I told them this afternoon we would not do that. Because there's a lot of work to do if we're going to even consider the three. If we're going to go into the 3 points as they've drafted it up, I have a lot of questions about the 3 points, and I think Tim did. Tim also. So the 3 points have not a part of anything I've said tonight. Again, what the language is that they sent to me, and then they've suggested, and that I've modified is we would get up and say collaboratively that since we are already working together on making progress on long-held goals. There's no longer need for Article 41, and they would withdraw it.
Seems
I-
pretty straightforward.
I think that we should be very pragmatic. You see, the DEI has their ulterior motives, and we are being used for their motives. And the whole thing of this Article 41, which I will read just for the benefit of everybody, authorize a task force to review and update the charges, policies, and protocols of the Historic Districts Commission and the Historical Commission. So that's a major interference with the way that one commission works. With the initiative of another commission that doesn't have in its mandate and doesn't have in its definition to be getting into the business of other commissions. And as I said, the remarks I made before the select board to everyone, we're not in the business of making policy or making social change. We're in the business of preserving historic references. So I think, from my perspective, Article 41 is entirely unnecessary, and we should vigorously oppose it. And we should tell the DEI that we're more than happy to work with them collaborative on anything that they find that it's inappropriate, and that they should come over and specifically say what are the things that they think that are not helping the goals of the DEI townwide in Concord, and that we will address them. But having this conversation, it's, from my perspective, very counterproductive. It gives the DEI a power and an opinion that they do not have and that they are not supposed to have. We are a standing commission created in 1960, and our work has been extremely well regarded, and we are a serious group of people, and our commitment to DEI is beyond any question, much less the DEI Commission.
So you're agreeing with this statement because you're saying that we're willing to work collaboratively with them without any details to this point, and that we're already working together to meet with them, and that we continue to do this and that because of that they will drop Article 41.
Well, they don't have to do it because of that. I think that they should drop Article 41 as a matter of principle. And they should be reminded that they are always welcome to the Historic Districts Commission meetings, and that there's a part of called other business when anybody from the town can come over and approach the HDC and discuss issues that matter to them. The DEI is maybe one of those entities, and we invited them, and they didn't come up with anything. So we continue that process, but Article 41, it's just a big reach trying to accomplish something that they are not supposed to, that they were not designed to do.
I agree with you. That's why we're, no matter what happens, we're opposing Article 41.
To me, Article 41 is like a non-starter. You see, if you have Article 41, then fine. We don't need to talk. There's not need to be any conversations. And that's the reason that, when I was chair, I was very eerie of having a private meeting by members of the commission with members of the DEI, because it would give legitimacy to what they are asking for. It's the same story with the tercentenary signs, which they wanted to blame the HDC for removing or not removing them. So at the end, you say, well, we have nothing to do with it. You can do it for maintenance. What they're trying to do in this setting is to create a situation by which we are going to end up being the ones that are opposing something that everybody feels that it's very appropriate to the town, which is DEI, you see, and because they had meetings with us, and they couldn't come up with anything that was satisfactory to them. So that's the reason that, in my personal perspective, having a meeting in private with them would give space for that interpretation. And again, I say we already have the mechanisms for anybody to come to the commission and say whatever they want. You see, anybody can do it. The AI certainly can do it. If they don't agree on something that we have done, or they believe that we could do something better, they can always come. We don't have to have a meeting with designated parties and things of that sort. Sorry.
So, how do we move forward? Any suggestions?
I
Catherine?
would say, we need to figure out a way to express that we agree with the principles and disagree with the methodology. It's pretty
Not
straightforward.
gonna be, wasn't Bill drafting something?
Yeah, I said I'd send an email to,
Yeah. Right, and
I will do.
from his sick bed.
Yes.
Yeah, 41 is forcing the hand of the commission, or in concert with others, forcing the hand to do something that we've already agreed with in principle, certainly, and are looking for what can be put in practice. And as Luis is saying, there's not a whole lot in practice that's been suggested.
So, Anne, Bill's going to send me some wording for the 18th. I want to share this among all the commissioners. How do I get that done without violating open meeting laws?
Right, so Bill could send it to me and then I could distribute it to everyone. You can send your feedback back to me. I could make the changes, even send it back out to you again if you'd like. Just to make sure that you're all in agreement, and then submit the final version.
Great.
That's good.
I will ask the chair whether it would be appropriate that I send the prepared comments that I made for the December 1st meeting of the select board, where I oppose Article 41 and make it available to the members of the commission.
That would be great.
If the chair agrees, then I will send it to Ann Clifford, and she may distribute it. And the only thing that I'm asking right now is whether the chair agrees that I send it to Anne.
Fine
So-
with me. Send it
all
to
right.
Anne. I think it's a good idea.
And then I will, etc. Will go correctly.
Great. That sounds like a good idea. To be continued. So, Bill, you're in the hot seat producing language.
Gonna be
Luis,
short
you're
and
gonna keep
sweet.
this in-
It'll
What?
be short. It will be short and sweet.
Yeah, well, it should be. So, why don't you send that along, and then through Anne, we'll work on this and see where we go from here. Thank you all.
All right.
We live in interesting times.
All right. Have a good evening.
Well,
we
good
have-
evening
have
to
a vote to,
everyone.
we need a vote. We need a vote to end this meeting. So, do I have a vote?
I move we conclude this meeting.
Do I
Second,
have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.